Alrighty guys, here with the Phelan game. First choice, Eternal Knight's the best scaling unit here. Go with Elise because it's the most flexible and tempo. And then for 6 drops I take to Party for the same reason. It's the most tempo, will potentially allow me to stabilize when I'm going to that 6. From here, just play Eternal Knight, do the effective, use a Cry Foul, and then I end up buying this Tavern buff guy. I think doing in general, he's okay to pick up early, especially if just you're trying to use your gold effectively. Um, Generally, if you're in a undead lobby, which is when I did health, I think there's an argument because it's a mech lobby. I should have gone damage, but either option. 3/4 is not a terrible minion, so it's not a bad pickup. Turn 5, I'm able to get my Elise online, which again, like the idea was to hopefully stabilize. I end up taking 10 here, unfortunately, which puts us in not a great position. Um, Going into our tavern trinket, I think it was between ornate clock and souvenir stand. I'll be honest, I just wasn't really sure about the ornate clock. And Super Saiyan, I think, was the idea was, it should be able to let me win. So from here, I'm just trying to stabilize as much as I can. And the idea is that I want to get my souvenir stand and the party guest on at the same time. This 4-drop mech, I believe it's called Repair Bot, the 3/3. I've had a lot of luck with this as a stabilized unit. I end up getting 2 automatons on this turn, one from the shop, one from the end of turn effect. But in general, this seems to be a really good unit at being able to help stabilize because a lot of the mechs give a lot of beneficial effects. There's, increasing attack power, there's divine shield, there's the automaton. So if you finding that early, like I think that's a reasonable minion to treat like a, kind of like what fairy god what was it, the Fairly Godmother or whatever, the Murloc that was like a 1/5 taunt. I think this 3/3, you can kind of think of it in a similar manner where it's going to be providing you a lot of value over time. So here you can see turn 8, we get our party guests online, and this gives us a little bit of stabilize with the mug and then the other buff. So get a lot of tempo on this turn to hopefully not take too much damage. We'll see how the fight goes, but really the biggest thing, like I was trying to just not take like 15 here. I think it looks like I'm gonna finish with like taking 2 maybe or 6. Yeah, so 4. So we're right at cap, unfortunately, which means finding armor would be really nice. But from here, Bob's Tip Jar and Pakel's Fishing Rod are the 2 choices. Bob's Tip Jar I don't think is quite as good because it really just like we didn't have a good shop, so I'm going to be using money where I can use the 6 or the 7 drops to find me units, and here I get a really good combo with the Moira and the Undead one, which those together can help reborn one of my or bring back one of my minions a couple of times, and this will just be able to get me a lot of tempo. I end up using it on the mech that's now been reborning a bunch. It's now summoning a bunch of automatons, so I kind of have this like automaton like mid game kind of going on. That's just what I've been using for tempo. And from here, I'm kind of leaning towards like a mix between like mechs and party guests. Potentially, I can do like party guests or like mech spell mechs if I can find an Electron, just because I have some spell generation already with the party. Really good find here to get Divine Shield for the magnetic, and I also find the armor. And from here, just the elemental one. Unfortunately, like elementals are very strong, but I just haven't really been playing to them at all this game. Second party guess is really nice. Draxus is also really nice to potentially get some of the effects on that other party guess. And from here, really just using the mugs to try and just stabilize as best as we can. I'm also kind of leaning towards potentially playing a little bit of like Murloc scam, potentially. And here we find a Dr. Booms, which is really big. Eventually, just because I have a Dr. Booms, I can now start thinking about picking up Electron, just because I know there's some very good scaling with it once because I have like the Dr. Boom. So playing, 6 magnetics gives you a really big buff, especially if you can get that multiplies. Plus, we already have some spell generation, so a lot of value there. Honestly, I get a little lost in the weeds in this turn. I end up thinking I'm gonna use the horse for like a menagerie type comp kind of thing. I even pick up the Naga here. I probably should have picked up that Murloc in the shop, the 3/3, because that would have been buffing my health. I do find another Dr. Booms when doing the triple here. And really, again, just trying to find a little bit of direction. I do find that Electron. So, like I said, I'm going to start leaning towards Electron so I can now get out of that horse that I bought. And really, from here, I'm just trying to buy as many spell generators and as that are like magnetic at the same time. Oh, all right, good. So I do buy that Murloc that I was mentioning. So from here, I probably should have played the one party guest and given it the reborn. That way it would have been generating a couple of extra spells. And then you just would have seen at the end of the turn I did generate another Dr. Boom. So we have a lot of Dr. Boom's values here. So getting Electron going and getting a lot of stats that way should be relatively easy because all I need to do is generate some spells. Unfortunately, in this fight, my party guest doesn't die, so I don't get the spell generations off of that. But I really have this really nice synergy between my Moiras, the undead. I forget the undead 7-drop's name offhand. But just a lot of ways to kind of generate stuff there. Really, the way I'm kind of seeing this right now is I kind of want to get out of this the beast. I'll be honest, I think I'm just baiting myself leaving it on the board here. But really, find a really cool triple here with the fire scale. So what I'm able to do is play the fire scale, use the Naga 7-drop to discover one. I can sell off the Naga to play 2. And then I make a misplay here of I should have used a couple of the rings because I lost 2 of the spells because I couldn't count because of Moira. But really good combo there if I did things correctly. So from here, giving just as many of our effects off and playing as many of our spells, and as you can see, we're just getting a lot of value from the Electron. And then I taunt up the undead just to make sure that it's dying ideally while Moira is still alive. Really, I need to taunt up some of my other units too, like Electron, because that's now like because the unit summon stuff, we're not getting the second summon off, but that's easy enough. Like right now, we're just very strong, so we don't need to worry about having that perfect stuff. And you can see like we're even getting some 34 token automatons out, and I potentially summoning 2 or so of those every time. Really cool here that we find the Mech unit there, so we're able to Divine Shield and Reborn our one of our party guests. We get another party guest, and we have a Dr. Boom in the shop. Sorry, so that's another unit. And then I end up Divine Shielding up my Electron, just trying to give as much good stats as we can. I could potentially reborn it here. I'm not sure if I do, but there's no real harm in that. But again, remember the main idea here is I'm trying to just make it so at least one of my minions will die, so that I'm able to get that second summon off every turn. Really cool combo here where I'm able to use both the Divine Shield and the Reborn Mechs from Jaraxxus to essentially build all the stuff that we actually care about there. So yeah, we have a lot of spell generation every turn. Our spells are slightly buffed. Obviously, this isn't like the dragon demon guy that's buffing your AoE spells that way, but they have solid stats that we're putting out every turn just from those. Plus, you figure each of these is additionally doing the stats for a Dr. Boom that's scaling on I think 4 of them now. Plus that one of them is duplicated because of the Death Rattle for duplicating the 4-drop every turn. So going into the last fight here, biggest thing that I'm trying to do is just find a way that I want to finish. Essentially, I want to get all the value from Electron and then sell out of the Electron just because he's not exactly the best finishing unit right now. Ideally, I'd find something like a Leroy. So what I end up doing is I taunt up one of my units just so again we have that higher chance of getting the duplicate, and then from here I'm just looking for like a Leroy or something because I have the second Stitch, there we go. Finally remember the name. I'm able to do like a double Leroy thing. And then I find 3 Dr. Booms at the end of that turn. I'll be honest, I'm not exactly sure what happens here. I think if I understand the effect correctly, Leroy actually is killing off the Stitch at the start of the effect to get that duplicate right at the very beginning. I'll be honest, I wasn't aware that was how that interaction worked. But yeah, anyways, get the 2 Leroys off, and then we get the 2 900s, and we're just completely ahead. But really cool comp here, showing off how you can kind of float between Menagerie and Mechs at the same time. Mechs are probably the second strongest tribe behind Elementals. So, and here's kind of how you should play them. All right, good luck in your guys' live. Hopefully you enjoyed the new season. See ya. Bye.